she will not be participating in the All-Star game or the three-point contest.
Walks there to the stanchion. Obvious frustration.
The Indiana Fever have finally spoken, and fans everywhere are tuning in. After days of silence, viral outrage, and growing pressure over Jacy Sheldon's controversial suspension, the team has released a statement. This is the moment everyone's been waiting for. The WNBA has reached a boiling point, and now the Fever are stepping into the fire with their response.
Yeah, I mean, there's a level of physicality that they're able to play with against her. You know, I'm not exactly sure why, but it just is what it is. And we've got to help her learn to adjust and use it against them in certain ways.
This wasn't just a controversial call. It was a flashpoint. Jacy Sheldon has been suspended after a viral knee to Caitlin Clark's groin, an incident captured from every angle, slowed down, analyzed frame by frame, and debated endlessly across sports media. The scrutiny has been relentless.
So as you guys can see here, she is dribbling down, she plants her foot, she passes the ball to Kelsey Mitchell on the back door, and then when she is running back on the other end of the court, it seems like she's grabbing her.
The video drew over 12 million views in just one day, rising fast as the outrage intensified. Fans were furious, sponsors were watching closely, and all-star tickets were being tossed aside. Yet the WNBA stayed silent. That silence is now broken. The Indiana Fever have spoken out, expressing deep disappointment in how the situation was handled and stressing the urgent need to protect all players, especially the league's biggest stars.
I swear, every time these two teams go up against one another, something happens, and it's honestly never good.
They didn't name Sheldon directly, and they didn't need to. The message was clear. This wasn't just basketball. It was a complete failure of officiating, of leadership, of protection. It nearly cost the league its biggest star, because this wasn't just another midseason game. This was a breaking point.
Caitlin Clark is getting hurt damn near every week.
Caitlin Clark was on fire. 14 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists in under 30 minutes. She looked locked in, confident and in rhythm, leading Indiana toward what should have been a smooth, third straight victory.
And immediately grabs the inside of that right leg.
Then came one motion, one sudden, unnatural extension, and Clark was on the floor clutching her groin. This wasn't a routine bump or fall. You could feel it in the stunned silence from the bench, in the eerie hush that fell over the arena. Fans weren't buying it. The footage was undeniable. Sheldon's knee lifts, extends, locks, and angles directly into Clark's path. Multiple angles captured it. There was no ambiguity, just impact and outrage.
And I'm here to tell you, it is not a good moment in the fan base. Fans are quiet online. A lot of people starting to look like they're reselling their all-star tickets.
The Fever statement doesn't explode with outrage. It strikes with precision. No wild emotion, no favoritism, just a firm stand on principle, fairness, safety, and the need for an environment where every player, star or not, is protected when physicality crosses the line. And let's be honest, anyone who's been watching this season knows Caitlin Clark has taken more than her share of borderline shots. This isn't new, and it hasn't been dealt with until now. Clark and Jacy Sheldon share a tense history, going back years. College matchups filled with elbows, sneaky grabs, eye pokes, and mutual irritation. Earlier this season, a finger jab directly into Clark's eye made the rounds online. It's still circulating in fan-made highlight compilations marked evidence. So how can we pretend this latest knee was just accidental? Just part of the game? Not anymore, not when fans have the receipts, and the pattern is so publicly visible in the compilation era. The Fever didn't just issue a routine statement. They applied real pressure. For the first time this season, the organization directly challenged the league in writing, tying their criticism to one specific uncalled act. They called for higher officiating standards, quicker protective responses, and consistent disciplinary enforcement. And the reaction was immediate. Fans reposted the statement line by line. Influencers synced its words with slow-motion footage of the hit. Former players brought it up on podcasts. Even sports law experts weighed in, hinting at potential duty of care issues. Why? Because the league stayed quiet too long. And now, silence has turned into fuel. Some fans aren't just reselling their All-Star Game tickets, they're giving them away like protest flyers. That's not normal churn. That's symbolic resistance. Because Caitlin Clark isn't just another rookie. She's the epicenter of the WNBA's current growth. Ratings spikes, sold-out jerseys, massive media attention, it all traces back to her. Yet somehow, she's the one absorbing the hits while the whistles stay silent. And here's the most revealing part. Sources now claim the suspension only came after a detailed internal review of multi-angle footage, and what they call escalating sponsor concern. Let that sink in. Not player safety. Not officiating integrity. Sponsor concern. Executives saw what fans did, a direct knee, Clark's reaction, officials in plain view, and no call. That's what triggered action, not ethics, but economics. This goes beyond one foul. It's about institutional reflexes. How fast does the league protect its biggest asset when something ugly breaks through the highlight reel? By fan standards, those reflexes are slow, nearly absent. The Fever's statement was more than a defense, it was a warning. A warning to the referees. A warning to the league. And perhaps most importantly, a warning to Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, whose silence has now become its own controversy. Some fans are even tagging NBA Commissioner Adam Silver, desperate for someone to step in. A petition calling for Commissioner Kathy Engelbert's removal is now circulating, wrapped in language like failure to protect the league's top asset. Whether or not such demands are realistic, they reflect something undeniable, a widening trust gap. Because Caitlin Clark is no longer just a player. She's a marketing force, a media magnet, and the engine behind the WNBA's growth surge. Yet she continues to absorb high-risk, borderline contact while league officials delay meaningful responses. The official standing just inches from Jacy Sheldon's knee strike has unintentionally become a symbol of inaction, of institutional apathy. Clark, visibly shaken, approached him post-play. No whistle. No huddle. No review. Nothing. Fans didn't miss it. They interpreted the silence as a league shrugging off player safety. And it sparked the inevitable comparisons. Would this have happened to Aya Wilson? To Sabrina Ionescu? The consensus among many fans is no. It feels like Clark is being subjected to a different officiating standard, one shaped by fear of perceived favoritism, yet ironically leading to underprotection. As tensions climbed, so did injury concerns. Sideline footage showed Clark in clear discomfort. Reports hinted at something more than a mild strain. Imaging was reportedly inconclusive. A groin adductor soft tissue issue could sideline her for multiple games, maybe even the All-Star appearance. Yet the league's official updates remained vague, offering only generic phrasing. Once again, Indiana filled the void. The Fever confirmed she's undergoing progressive evaluation and may miss time, plugging a communication gap the league left open. In the age of online speculation, that silence only fuels wild rumors. And if Clark does miss marquee events, it's not just a loss of a player. It's a blow to momentum, to sponsor confidence, to global fan conversion, and to the fragile trust of a new audience. Why is the franchise left to carry that messaging burden alone? While Clark rehabs, fans have shifted from frustration to full-scale backlash. Viral edits now flood social media, highlight reels of uncalled contact, side-by-side comparisons with other leagues' instant flagrant decisions. Hashtag Protect Caitlin is trending far beyond WNBA circles. Sheldon's suspension, though overdue, is widely seen as symbolic, a pressure valve, not a solution. The Fever did their part. They spoke up, documented the incident, and pushed for safety. Now the spotlight turns back to the league. What reforms will follow? Because without transparent officiating reviews, clear safety initiatives, and real accountability, this isn't just a PR crisis. It's the start of fan alienation, and potentially, long-term attrition. You can't build your entire growth model around one transcendent star, then leave her exposed to preventable damage, physically and reputationally. That contradiction fuels outrage. An outrage has a playbook. It begins the moment contact is made, no whistle. Minutes pass, no review. Hours later, the clip floods social media. By the end of the day, aggregators blast it everywhere. Then come the sponsor questions. Day 2? Team statement. Maybe a suspension. Every delay adds weight to the narrative of negligence. A single timely whistle could have flipped the story, from failure to protect to focus on performance. That missed moment now looms over every move the league makes. Behind closed doors, conversations swirl. Do they hire an eye in the sky official who can buzz in on dangerous head or groin contact? Do they launch transparent post-game officiating reports for high-risk zones, like a full-court version of the NBA's last 2-minute reports? Do they track cumulative severe hits on high-usage players to identify overexposed stars? Each of these reforms has costs: union buy-in, training overhaul, administrative drag. But the cost of inaction is steeper: reputational decay. And it accelerates. By the end of the first month, it's obvious. Player solidarity flickers. Some bets discuss symbolic actions, armbands, momentary stillness, or even game pauses to protest safety lapses. Rookies hesitate, wary of backlash. Agents advise caution. Yet the very fact these debates exist signals the league's internal temperature is rising. Meanwhile, sponsors aren't passive. They're calculating risk. Marketing teams prep scenario decks. Clark bounces back fast versus Clark misses weeks. Each option triggers changes. Ad copy rewrites, ad spend shifts, product launch timing adjustments. Broadcasts are affected. Even international content strategies pivot. One unsanctioned knee created a cross-departmental crisis. Overseas, the incident echoes louder. European analysts frame it as a test of league governance. Australians ask whether international players face more physical risk stateside. Global expansion hinges on projecting care, professionalism. Right now, that projection looks cracked. From a medical standpoint, nuance matters. A groin injury, especially to the adductor complex, isn't simple. It's not a bruise you ice and forget. It affects lateral motion, stability, and compensation. Overprotect, and you lose agility. Underprotect, and it lingers. Chronic. Every day Clark misses chips away at the momentum she built. Fans who tuned in nightly for her highlights don't automatically become long-term loyalists. If she's out too long, some drift before connecting to the team or league. Retention windows are short. At the same time, dangerous narratives spread. One theory suggests the league overcorrected for star favoritism, ironically making its top player a target. That theory, once fringe, now hits mid-tier sports talk shows. If not shut down with data, it becomes the default assumption. The refs aren't just inconsistent, they're targeting her. That poisons how fans interpret every whistle from here on out. The solution isn't PR. It's data. Real transparency. Release officiating metrics. Show contact trends. Demonstrate the league is aware, awake, accountable. Meanwhile, the glimpses of Clark's rehab become content themselves. Ice wraps. Underwater treadmill shots. Frustrated looks during drills. Vague updates about progress. Fans dissect 8-second videos for signs, hope, or setback. It's not just curiosity. It's engagement infrastructure. Star Health drives podcasts, posts, and headlines. Protecting Clark isn't just ethical. It's business. And the commissioner knows the stakes. Admit officiating failures, and you risk lawsuits. Defend the refs, and you lose public trust. Stay silent, and you lose control of the narrative entirely. No option is easy, but delay is the most costly. Every stakeholder, owners, refs, players, broadcasters, grows more frustrated the longer resolution is deferred. Reform ideas leak. AI-triggered reviews. Referee grading systems with partial public transparency. Clinics for defenders to reduce borderline contact. These aren't sci-fi proposals. They're real, feasible, and suddenly urgent. But change requires time, investment, and most of all, will. Ironically, the Caitlin Clark era is the exact moment when all parties are most open to change. The league's visibility has never been higher. That's a gift and a test. If leadership hesitates, the opportunity closes. Inertia returns. And the star you built everything around? She may not wait. That repositioning by Indiana may resonate far beyond this moment, especially with future free agents who prioritize organizational support and culture. It also boosts morale within the locker room. When players see their leadership publicly taking a stand on their behalf, it builds trust, cohesion, and loyalty. As the Fever's next nationally televised game approaches, a countdown-like tension surrounds the event. Will referees open with hyper-tight whistles, signaling a symbolic overcorrection? Will fans organize visible protest gestures in the stands? Will broadcasters dive into officiating nuance or gloss over the controversy with highlight-friendly commentary? Every micro-choice, whistle timing, body language, camera angles, will be dissected by an audience now conditioned to read between the lines. This moment compresses into a central test. Can a rapidly growing league evolve its protective systems at the same speed it's monetizing breakout stardom? If it can, the Clark incident will be remembered as a turning point, a foundational case study in proactive governance. If it can't, it risks becoming a cautionary tale at future sports business panels, how a golden growth phase stumbled on inertia and indecision. The Fever have done what any one franchise reasonably can. They spoke up, reframed the conversation from isolated grievance to systemic concern, and demanded action without crossing into insubordination. Now it's up to the league's leadership to meet that moment. They must clarify their stance, that star power isn't something to balance out, but a resource to protect, equitably, transparently, and consistently. Because whether they intended to or not, Caitlin Clark's body has become the battleground for competing narratives. Entertainment versus protection, optics versus principle, spectacle versus sustainability. One clear, transparent, corrective policy shift could instantly reset the emotional climate surrounding the league. But continued vagueness and silence? That only deepens the storm. The clock is ticking. Fans are refreshing social media. Analysts are scripting their next segments. Players are watching to see if their safety is being prioritized. Sponsors are watching, too, with contingency plans quietly being weighed. And Caitlin Clark, still rehabbing, still waiting to regain full movement, remains the focal point. Indiana made its stance known. The league's next move will determine whether this becomes a moment of accountability and growth, or a headline of hesitation and lost momentum. The fuse has been lit. The response will define what burns and what builds.